No, I had to roll my windows up. I'm driving.
No, John Gunkel.
No, thank you, Felicia.
Sorry.
All right. Well, let's call the meeting to order. Kathy, I did talk to Kathy. She's going to be a few minutes late, and so we can go ahead and come to order. And I guess we can read the thing that we need to read, right?
Yep, I'll go ahead and do that. Due to the governor's recent order, all members of the Recreation and Parks Commission are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until asked to be heard, and then they will then be unmuted and recognized. When they will take a vote, it will be necessary to do a roll call vote. Please state your name. The commission member will then be recognized to place their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Per the notice, citizens can listen to the meeting, and if they would like to do so, they can contact the city manager's office to make necessary arrangement. The meeting will be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel, and that can be accessed on the city website. And a recording of today's meeting will be available by Tuesday on YouTube. We'll go ahead and do roll. So as I mentioned, Kathy is going to be with us, but she's running a little bit late. So she is technically here. John Gunkel.
Here.
Tig O'Gara. Okay. Sean Hawkins.
Here.
Okay. John France. John France. Okay. Bob Hartwell.
Hey, Felicia, I just joined. It's Kathy.
Oh, perfect. We're still doing roll. Okay, Bob Hartwell. George Peterson.
Here.
Okay. Cherie Ingram.
Here.
Okay. Joe Cassidy. Joe Cassidy.
Here.
Okay, you are there. And then Taylor Ansley.
Here.
Perfect. Okay, so we are missing 1, 2, 3. Looks like we're missing 3, but we do have quorum. Okay, Kathy, if you want to roll us into the approval of the minutes.
Okay, sure. So I have been like crazy busy, so let me sort of catch up here. All right, so the last minutes, we got an update on the community engagement focus group. I think Sean and George both gave us an update on that. We had department updates. We had some updates on the maintenance. The hobby park, I think we have reviewed that a couple of times, and we're now considering that done deal. The trees are planted, so we don't have to talk about that anymore. Whitaker Park, actually, we talked about that, and Rec was going to go do some things. I don't know, Felicia, whether you guys are going to give an update on it, but I can later on in the meeting. And then, I'm sorry. And then when we talked about deferred maintenance, we did have a suggestion that we get some of the committee members together and do a curb appeal, that we go visit and do curb appeal. So that I'd like to talk about that a little bit more today too, Felicia, if we can. And then our meeting adjourned. So does anybody have any other comments about the minutes? If not, can I have a motion to get them approved?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Oh, Sean, were you going to say something?
Can you please state your name for whoever seconded?
Taylor Ansley, seconded.
Thank you.
Bob here. I didn't vote. I wasn't present.
Oh. Well, Bob, we're just voting right now. So do you have anything to add or any?
No, because I wasn't there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. But I think we still have enough. I think we have enough to approve the minutes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What's next? Today's agenda looks like you guys want to talk about the naming of Quarry Park and beloved champions. I definitely want to make sure we have time to talk about roles and responsibilities. Is John Wilson here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. John, are you going to provide us the documentation for that?
I had emailed with Felicia yesterday and this morning, kind of about sort of what my thinking was behind this. I will admit, straight up that this completely fell off my radar, and so I've started on rewriting it, but I haven't gotten there yet. It was my intent today maybe just to present an overview of what my plan is and what I'm thinking, and talk to you guys and answer any questions you may have regarding how that's going to look, and then maybe bring it back as an action item in June. That way I can make sure that it's working with staff and with you guys, that it's whatever is presented for you guys to make recommendations to council on is kind of what basically it covers what it needs to cover.
Okay. So you're going to basically preview it with us and collect some feedback, and then
Right.
you can incorporate and get that finalized for June. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then Felicia, just the other thing under business, I would like to go through you guys provided a park rating, and I wanted to see whether we could get some volunteers that might want to go off and look at a couple of the parks for curb appeal. So I'd like to do that during this meeting if we can.
Yeah, we can do that. Once we take care of the business and then go over John's stuff, we can do that at the end.
Okay, all right, great. All right, so we've approved the minutes, so why don't we go to number 2, naming of Quarry Park?
All right, Felicia's going to bring the letter up on the screen. And good afternoon, everyone. Hope that you've been having a wonderful week so far and enjoying some of this nicer weather today than we had yesterday. Wanted to bring this item to the Recreation and Parks Commission. As I believe I mentioned it back in February or even March, received a letter of recommendation to name Quarry Park after the retired director, Mr. Timothy A. Grant. Councilmember Taylor felt it would be a proper way to honor his 19 years of service with the city of Winston-Salem, and not to go through, and this letter really doesn't do Tim the justice that really outlines all that he was able to accomplish as a Recreation Parks Director and as a department under his direction. But some of the things that Councilmember Taylor listed was built the first skate park at the Winston Fairgrounds in 2016, built 22 new playgrounds within the park system, expanded our park system acreage by over 240 acres. He was awarded the City of Winston-Salem Employee Excellence Award for staff support. He was awarded a 2013 Employee Excellence Award for leadership. It also created the We Play slogan, which is now our department's mission statement for the Winston-Salem Recreation and Parks Department. As Tim knows, and those employees that were involved with this process know just how far we've come with the quarry from when it was basically a vegetative landfill for the city, and now it's been transformed into one of the most unique regional destinations in the state of North Carolina. It took a lot of work. I mean, there were countless numbers of hours and dedication and staff support that went into making this happen. Tim led that effort, and as a proper way to honor Tim, received this recommendation from Councilmember Taylor to name the Quarry Park after Mr. Timothy A. Grant. As a way to honor him and the dedication, time, and effort it took to make this park, get this park built, do the groundbreakings, and make it a regional destination here for the city of Winston-Salem. So I would like to ask that our Recreation and Parks Commission consider this request. I do support this wholeheartedly and would like to ask for the commission to take an official vote to rename Quarry Park after Mr. Timothy A. Grant.
Anybody have any comments on that? We want to talk about it?
I have a quick question. So the name of the park would be the Timothy A. Grant Park? Is that the official name it would be called?
The official name,
I didn't know if you were going to try to keep the quarry, something about the quarry in there or not. I'm just kind of curious.
I think one of the ideas that was presented was the quarry at Grant Park, or the quarry at the TA Grant Park. Exactly how that will be spelled out, I would work with Tim and our marketing department to make sure that it was done in a way that he felt was suiting.
Yeah, I like the idea of keeping quarry in it because it's a very unique park. So yes. I like that.
I agree. I think everybody, you've already branded that park. People really know it as Quarry Park. So I'd like to see that you carry Quarry in it, but it's just kind of, I think people already know it by that name.
Yeah, there are ways that, and I think, Tim and I talked about this as well, because Quarry was kind of unique because whenever that park was built and it was developed, it was never really given an official name. The name Quarry Park was, or the Quarry, as a lot of people refer to it, was came about just because of the way the staff identified that particular site during development and some of the master planning process. I believe that Tim and I have talked about this, about a way so that people don't get confused about the location, but being able to have his name on there for a park such as Quarry Park, that's such a staple and so special for this community, especially for the Southeast Ward. I think he was in agreement that having it named something like the Quarry at Grant Park. The quarry is still there, and the quarry will always be there. There are actually two quarries on that site. But having the appropriate naming rights and having his name out front as part of that discussion when people are talking about that park, I think is what ultimately is what's important to not only him, but to Councilmember Taylor as well.
Hey, William, I'm just excited that we're naming Rock Quarry Park after Tim. I've been knowing Tim for a long time, and he's always been just not only a great person, but just to be able to do this while he's able to see it is a blessing. And it goes to all the work that he put into the city and Parks and Rec throughout the years.
Sean, I would agree with you. Oftentimes we as a people have the tendency to name things in memory of someone. And rarely do we name things in honor of people so that they can have an opportunity to enjoy that, be recognized for that while they're still here with us. And I love Tim to death. I think he's a great person. I think he's a great friend. I think he's been a great leader. He's been a great mentor for me. I think he's been a great mentor for our Recreation and Parks Department as a whole. I think that his touch will be felt long after we're all gone. I think it's a proper way to honor him. And I do support this recommendation.
Got a question? Cass?
Sure.
I'll support this, but I think the motion should include the provision that the word quarry remain in the name of the park.
Okay. All right. Any other comments before we put forward the motion? Okay, so can I have a motion to support the naming of Quarry Park in honor of Timothy A. Grant, provided that the word quarry is incorporated into the name of the park?
I make a motion that we change the name with Quarry Park, with Quarry still on it, with Tim Grant name being added to that.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so Felicia, did you get what you needed there? I think it was Sean that,
It was Sean Hawkins and Bob Hartwell.
and Bob did the second, yeah.
Got it.
And nobody opposed.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right, moving right along. What's next?
The second order of business is a program that Leah Fran, our assistant director, has been involved in and been working with. I'm going to call it Beloved Companions, Animal Altars. I'm going to turn it over to her for further discussion and questions. Leah?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So Recreation and Parks has worked with the Beloved Companions of North Carolina for an access agreement that will allow Lynn Bird to place 6 pet altars in our parks. The altars are similar in appearance to little libraries that have been seen around town. Inside the altars is space for citizens to write a passage in a journal, place pictures, and other mementos of their pets. Ms. Bird will be required to purchase and maintain the structures, and the 6 sites that she's looking at placing the structures will be Long Creek, Miller Park, Hathaway, Washington Park, Muddy Creek, and Salem Lake. The purpose of these altars are to prevent pop-up memorials that we've often seen in our parks, and a place for people to honor their pets. Felicia, I emailed a picture. Do you have a picture of the altar by chance that you can share?
Hold on, let me see.
If not, they are very similar in structure to the little libraries you guys have probably seen around town.
Did you, oh, here we go. I see, did you? There we go.
Yep, so that is a picture of one that they have already created.
There we go.
What do you do with it?
So it is a place for citizens where they can go honor their pets. There has been, you know, when somebody loses their pet, it's often like losing a family member. And it's a place where people can go to some of their favorite parks, and they have a journal on the inside where you can write an entry about your pet, place pictures. It's just a gathering spot.
It's Bob here. It appears there's something similar already exists at Long Creek.
Correct. So this was the first one. This one was put out there several years ago. We were not aware of it. Ms. Bird, the individual who started this project, reached out to us after she realized that it was on park property and wanted to make sure that she was doing it right. Also, she wanted to expand it to other parks. So, you know, we got involved to make sure that we were being responsible with the placement of these. So you are correct, Bob.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So you don't have to get permission. You just go up to the box and pull the journal out and add an entry and read and
Correct.
and put it
And
back
then
there.
Ms. Bird is responsible for going out there. Part of the agreement is that she goes out there and makes sure that the structures are maintained, that they're safe, that there's no graffiti, vandalism, making sure that the information on the inside is appropriate.
She's going to do that for all the parks?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you repeat again for me what the parks are?
Yep. So there's 6 right now that she would like to look at. Of course, it would take a while to get into all of our parks. First one is Long Creek. That one's already been established and has been out there for several years, from my understanding. So you got Long Creek, Miller Park, Hathaway, Washington Park, Muddy Creek Trail, and Salem Lake Trail.
Hey, Lee, I have a quick question. How are these parks selected? Just curious.
So Lynn selected a base. She works with a group of people. They're advocates of animals, and so she's worked with some people who visit our parks, and those are the ones that they determined that were the most utilized. Hathaway Park, for example, is actually a location that is a very interesting spot. And William, you may have to jump in and help me on this one. But citizens out at that park have already established kind of like a pet memorial type or not activity, but placement. There's benches that they have out there where citizens come by and they put plaques of their pets in memorial of it. So, when Ms. Bird was looking for locations, it was locations that people often frequent with their pets anyways.
Yeah, Leah's absolutely correct. I mean, we're finding that citizens are taking it upon themselves to create, to fill a need. And so the fact that Ms. Burke reached out to Leah it was a way to help solve a problem that we had. I think that ultimately this will be incorporated into our memory tree, memory bench program as a way for people to honor their pets. And, I had to put one of my first Rottweiler to sleep many, many years ago. And till this day, I can't watch Marley and Me. And so it's people, as Leah's mentioned, people treat their pets in many, many ways as extensions of their family. So giving them a controlled way to honor their pets, I think, would be better than having these sporadic areas throughout a park system that people are creating on their own that make it difficult for us to manage.
Yeah, it's very similar to if you're walking on some of our trails, you'll see little pop-up memorials where people have put placements out there to honor their families or loved ones or whatever the case may be. This will help prevent some of that.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments? All right, can I have a motion to support the placement of these memory boxes in the 6 parks?
I'll motion. George Peterson.
George, okay, thank you, George. Second?
I'll second.
Second that motion. This is Cherie. And I understand because I am a animal dog lover and I know what it's like for them to treat them like family, because we do treat our animals like family.
Okay. Anybody opposed to this? Okay, so Felicia, William, I think you've got support of the commission.
Very good. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Kathy, if you don't mind, I have one other order of business that I wanted to make sure that we had time for me to mention. It was regarding the email that I believe Joe sent regarding Long Creek. As a quick update, and this has happened since this morning. At the conclusion of this meeting, Joe, we've been able to locate those deer stands that you found out at Long Creek. We were able to find the campsite and a couple of other things that were troubling that need to be corrected. So at the conclusion of this meeting today, I'm meeting one of my park supervisors and our park rangers out at Long Creek. Going to meet out there at 1:30. Going to have some open discussions with some of the residents to see if we can get some of that cleared up. I just want to take a couple of minutes to kind of give you another update about where we were handling that issue for you.
Thank you, William.
Okay. So I guess we're ready to turn it over to John Lawson.
Yes.
John, all yours.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm John Lawson. I'm an assistant city attorney for the city. And Recreation and Parks Department is one of the departments that I represent and advise. A couple months ago, I had a conversation with the chair and the vice chair, Mr. Royston, and Assistant City Manager Tasha Logan-Ford regarding the commission's roles and responsibilities and its members' roles and responsibilities. And one of the things that we had talked about was the need to update the city code sections as they pertain to the commission. I mean, as you guys know, the Recreation and Parks Commission was established by the Winston-Salem City Council. And as a formal commission established by the City Council, it has to follow certain rules that pertain to all formal commissions. Excuse me, all formal commissions in the state. Most of these are laid out in the city code, particularly in Division 9 in Chapter 2 of the city code that deals with that portion of the city code deals with all the city's commissions in general, but Division 9 deals specifically with the Recreation and Parks Commission. Part of the reason why I think it's good to try to update and refresh the code sections is that, with a few minor changes that were added in 2018, most of the code sections that govern this commission were written back in 2003. So I think because of that, there is a need to update or refresh, clarify, add, remove different things to bring the city code and the commission together in terms of what their job duties and their roles need to be. As I mentioned earlier, it's my goal to bring, the revisions and the rewrites to the commission in June for action and approval. Obviously, any change to the codes would then require, the commission would recommend approval. Then the city council would have to actually formally vote to accept them before they would become a formal change to the code. But there's some of the things in there, and I kind of touch on it briefly, but I mentioned that the commission has to follow certain rules that pertain to all sort of formal governmental committees, commissions, councils, that kind of thing. Some of them you guys obviously know. The monthly meetings have to be held regularly. They have to be published. They have to be accessible to the public. That kind of thing. So there's a couple things in the code that I think that we can clean up about the duties and sort of how that aspect is handled. For example, there's a requirement that the commission keep and approve the minutes of its meetings and then provide them to the city clerk. It's vague in the code as to whose responsibility that is. The commission right now doesn't have a formal position of secretary. And so I think a recommendation would be, and we can work this out with staff and with you guys in the drafting process, is to either have the commission establish a secretary or to have the code formally designate a Recreation and Parks Department staff person to handle this. I mean, currently Felicia is that person, but it would be good to have her position or her title, if that's how you guys want to keep it, be memorialized in the code, just for clarity's sake. There's also a requirement in the code that the commission provide an annual report to the city council. And I know in talking with staff and, William Royston and them, and even possibly before under Mr. Grant, that's never been done. City council's never asked for it. The commission has never provided it. And so I think, unless there's some sort of directive from council that I'm not aware of, I think provisions like that are outdated or inapplicable can just be removed to kind of clean things up and make sure that the commission's roles and responsibilities are a little bit more clearly defined so that everybody knows, especially going forward to, in the future. You guys aren't going to be on this commission forever. So people who come in after you, it would be nice if there's some clarity as to what they are required to do as well. So I think that's sort of the main reason to kind of clean things up a little bit. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about the city code or the commission's roles or anything like that, I'm happy to also take any instruction or directive from you guys as well as I start sending out drafts of a proposed rewrite.
So I have a question, William. I thought that Tasha said that she was going to talk to City Council. It was a general topic about roles and responsibilities for all the commissions, and she would ask about the Rec and Park in particular about roles and responsibilities. Did that happen?
I am not sure if that discussion has happened yet. I can follow up with Tasha. I know that as part of this process, it's my understanding that they're looking, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're kind of looking at this holistically and looking at how these boards and commissions, the various city boards and commissions operate and what their duties and responsibilities are throughout the city. So I know that that's being looked at. I don't know if those discussions have begun with city council directly at this moment, at this time yet.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well, but I don't, like you, I'm not privy to those conversations. So, I mean, that's certainly a question I can ask of Tasha, is because I want her, her opinion on this as well. As the assistant city manager of recreational parks, I think it's good for her to have some feedback on this. And as a part of that, we can certainly ask what discussions, if any, she's had. Because you are right that, there's, the commissions have certain roles and responsibilities, but clarifying what they are and possibly revamping them or whatever is something that I think she had said council wanted to do, but I don't know if that's just long range pie in the sky planning or if that's actually something concrete that's happening or has happened.
Right. Because what we noticed is that the thing that that the department comes to the commission for on voting is the naming of parks. It seems to be the primary thing that we're asked to do. And some other topics that have come up are things like, well, when decisions are made about prioritizing parks for maintenance, or when requests for funding are considered, or contracts are considered, what is the commission's role and responsibility when those things occur? Is it just to be informed? So when we're out in the community, if somebody asks us questions, that we know what's going on, or should the department come to the commission and share some of those items and then get feedback and incorporate feedback? So, I don't know what city council wants us to be doing or thinks we're doing, but that's what we'd like clarity on. Because right now, I think the only thing we're really doing is renaming parks.
Right. Well, one of the duties that we have to bring to the commission, because one of the most important duties is for the commission is the approval of the sale or addition of parkland. That is one of the primary focuses of the Recreation and Parks Department bringing something to the commission. The ordinance states that there has to be at least 3 public hearings. And so the first public hearing on that matter is here at the Recreation and Parks Commission meeting. The second public meeting is at the City County Planning Board. The third public input session regarding the sale or purchase of parkland, really the sale of parkland, more instances than not, is at the official city council meeting. The mayor will open up the floor for discussion on that particular item. If there's no one there to speak negatively or positively for that item, then he'll close the public input session and then present the item to city council for approval. The naming of park facilities is something that, from my research, has always historically been done. And under my tenure as department head, would not break that. I think it's important that, even from my standpoint, I think it's important for the Recreation and Parks Commission to have a chance to see those things, be able to have a chance to review them, support them or not support them before we present them and move them on to city council. Without doing that, we'll end up having a lot of park facilities named after people, and we wouldn't know why. You wouldn't know why. Our residents wouldn't know why. And we found that in some cases when we've gone back to research, why is this park named after this person? We've been able to go back and commission meeting minutes and locate that information and provide an update to those who are asking those questions. When it comes to contracts, we don't, outside of maybe some program contracts with some of Leah's staff and her recreation center staff regarding like yoga instructors or sitter-size instructors. Those are other contracts. All other contracts are entered into, the city council authorizes the city manager to enter into those contracts on behalf of the city. My name isn't even on those contracts. The majority of our, if not all of our construction contracts, any contracts that involve those large sums of money are approved and by the city manager. I don't enter into contracts with anyone.
Okay.
So can I have a question, Kathy?
Yeah.
So that means that if I want an explanation, is the department capable of explaining, for example, I was going to bring this up later, but it's appropriate now, how the contract works at Long Creek, for example, when it took them an inordinate amount of time to tear down a couple of old buildings, do some site work, which ended in early March, and nothing has happened since. And so the question is, what's going on over there? I can assure you, not much. And questions of that nature, does this mean, from what I'm hearing now, that those questions should be directed to the city manager's office or to city council?
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is, those contracts, the city has a standard contractual agreement that they use to enter into service agreements for construction contracts, professional services. They're pretty standard contracts. The scheduling and the scope of things, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like the scheduling and the scope of work that's going to be completed with that contract is, those questions can be directed to the appropriate department that's responsible for the work. If there's any sort of vertical construction, which means if we are erecting buildings and it's not just site work, all of those projects are fall under the project management and construction and the CA administration of that. All that falls under our city engineering department. Robert Presswood is the city engineer, and it will fall under his management and his staff. And so oftentimes when there are questions or very specific questions that we need to answer, we'll reach out to them, get the answers, and then come back and provide that to you. If we were doing something such as a playground renovation, those projects are managed by recreation and park staff. And so our staff is involved from the design all the way through the end with the construction administration for those projects. But for the much larger projects and the majority of the projects that are on our table, from the 2018 bond referendum and even the 2014 bond referendum, the majority of those projects were managed by our city engineering department. It's not just for recreation, that's citywide.
So, John, I'm just wondering, when you talk to Tasha, whether we can get some direction from City Council on really this whole topic that has to do with money and priorities, and what should our role as kind of liaisons into the community, what do they think we're doing about that? Are we just nodding our heads on whatever happens, or are we providing some feedback about the parks and how resources are allocated?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly, have those conversations. I mean, the code is kind of basically short, but vague at the same time about what the powers and duties and responsibilities are of the commission. I mean, it says that the commission has authority and the responsibility for example, for the operation, control, and management of the city parks. Well, what exactly does that mean? I mean, that's to your question, what kind of control, if most of those decisions are made at the staff level within the department. What is the commission, how does the commission control that? I mean, they can, the commission does have some authority, like William said, that, the acquisition or disposition of any property for park land purposes does require, a hearing in front of the commission and approval from the commission to bring that forward. That the commission can recommend changes to the city council, for example, park fees like rental fees and permit fees and that kind of thing. The council has sort of like the last say on it, since the commission is under the council, but the commission does have some powers, but it's kind of vague as to what all of those mean. It also says that the commission can conduct and supervise recreation facilities, and that to me seems like more of a department thing than a commission thing. But sort of straightening all that out so that you guys have some more clarity, I think is important.
Right. And
if council and management staff is still having those conversations, I mean, that may delay taking an item to sort of rewrite or revamp the code for a couple months to allow them to get that clarity. I mean, I think that's probably, if that's what's happening behind the scenes, I think we need to wait and get some of that clarity from council first, so we don't have to revise and then revise a second time.
Right.
But certainly in the conversations, I'll make sure that I get with Tasha and see where that stands. If that's something that's happening now or it's going to happen in the near future, or whether it's long range planning.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments about roles and responsibilities? The other thing, John, I guess, is, we are all volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not sure exactly, but I think most people are working full time. So, I mean, I personally would like to have roles and responsibilities that we're adding value, whatever that value might be, as opposed to feeling like we're a rubber stamp group. But I do believe that getting some direction from city council, to me, that makes sense. Anyway, anybody else want to say anything about this?
One thing, Kathy, that means that whether it's in June or in July, I don't know, but we will have some kind of a draft that we can look at and comment on before the meeting. It's considered that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be great. And John and William, I know John Gunkel and I are around if you want to have another kind of brainstorming session or talk about this with Tasha or anybody from the city council. We are delighted. I'm going to speak for John. Are you delighted?
I'm delighted.
Delighted. We are delighted to to help.
I would definitely take that into consideration. I think it'd be good to wait and see what John drafts up, and then have a chance to kind of look at that, review it, provide some comments, and then move forward. I do think that the commission, the city council takes the recommendations that the Recreation Parks Commission makes very seriously. So I want to make sure that you keep that in mind. However, as a department head, and knowing some of the history after having conversations with Tim Grant and Nick Jamison about how some of these ordinances came, why they were written, the department doesn't operate like that anymore. I do think there are some opportunities to get the commission more involved, and we will work with you to figure out what those ways are, to see what greater contributions you can make. So we want to make sure that if you do join this commission, that you're not joining just because we give good food during our lunches, but that you're actually you're out in the community and you're able to kind of go out and celebrate that and make a difference as well.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, John Lawson, thank you so much for sharing. We look forward to seeing what you come up with. So.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John.
So department updates, I do want to make sure that we have time to go through the, what did you call that list? The curb appeal list.
Yes. You want to do that now?
Sure, I'd love to do that now.
Okay, so what questions did you have?
Well, I took the spreadsheet and so what I see is I sorted it by the needs. So there's only one that has a significant improvement needed. That's Kingston Greens Park.
Mm-hmm.
There were two that were blanked, Sedge Garden and Washington Park. And then there are, how many of these are there? Minor maintenance needed is 40 and good are 33. So which of these are you thinking makes sense for us to go look at? The 40 that have minor maintenance needed, just the one that has significant, or the two that are blank?
I think all of them apply, and let me explain the reason why. If you look at the totals, those, you have the one that says significant improvement needed, you have the 40, 33, 2, and the 76 total. But that is a consultant's opinion about how they felt when they approached that park. Now, as citizens of this community, and even as employees within this department, when I visit a park, I look at very different things than most people. I pay attention to different things than most people. Kathy, if you were to visit a particular park location, you would probably notice some things a lot differently than John or Sean or Cherie. So it's getting some honest feedback regardless of the park location or the need. I would dare to say that if you visited a particular location that you would find a need even at more than one location that's shown on the spreadsheet. What you have to keep in mind is that the spreadsheet kind of gives you a snapshot in time. And so it's a snapshot at that period of time. There may have been improvements made, significant improvements made, or minor improvements made at a particular location since you received the spreadsheet, or there could have been no improvements made at all. But it's getting you out to look at those park locations so that you can provide some honest feedback. William, when I visited Bolton Park, the visibility looking into the park, I really couldn't see into the park because the tree canopy was all the way down to the ground. Maybe that's lifting that tree canopy up at least 8 feet so that people have clear sight lines. But each person, each one of you would notice something different at each location. And so we wanted to kind of give you kind of what the snapshot was when the survey, when the consultant visited those particular locations. But if you go to each one, I want to kind of get an idea of if there's something that we could do either on the maintenance end or on an operational end to make our park locations more inviting for people to use, then that's what I'm looking for, that kind of feedback, so we'll know what kind of things the public may be seeing when they visit these very same locations, which in turn, from my perspective, influences how users interact with our parks, how well they treat them, whether or not they would visit particular locations at all. And so in an area like Kingston Green, there really isn't anything there but a playground, a small playground for that matter. And so there's, in terms of curb appeal, there really isn't a whole lot there that we could even do other than doing some landscaping. You can improve the landscaping there and doing some things like that. So regardless of what park you go to, I just wanted to get some honest feedback on when the very moment that you pull up, what are you thinking? What are you seeing? What are you paying attention to? What are your eyes focusing on? Are there certain smells? Are there certain things that you see? Is it, can you see in and out of that site? Do you feel safe? Those are that's the kind of feedback we're looking for. And so you can take any park that's in this list and visit that, and you'll get a very, very different have a very different experience at each one.
Hey, Royston, this is John. For example, I went out and I looked at 6 parks in the last few days. And so I made some notes and stuff, but how do you want the feedback? Do you want us to just email it to you?
It could be, you could take a particular park location. If you had maybe some bullet points, say for instance, I'll take Bellevue. Say you visited Bellevue and Kathy visited Bellevue. I want to take your comments and I'll drop them down underneath Bellevue. I'll take Kathy's comments and drop them down underneath Bellevue. I wouldn't put, these are Kathy's comments or these are John's comments. These are all the comments that we've received for this particular location. And when I began to see, similarities, say tree canopy is an issue at 10 locations. It's easier for us to manage that improvement because we can hire someone to target all 10 locations at once and make a bigger impact. And so, and I believe that Mr. Hartwell just added a question. No, actually, Joe Cassidy put a question in the chat. It'd be helpful to have a checklist of things to look for. I can provide that to you, like some of the things I just mentioned. I think that'll be helpful, but I don't want that checklist to be the only thing that you pay attention to. I want to know how you feel when you visit that park. I want to know what you see, what you smell, where if there's no shade and you're out there in the middle of it and it's July and you're burning up, William, we probably need some shade in this location. It allows us to kind of look at those things to be able to cross-reference different parks and looking at the needs and the comments from those locations to really get some real honest feedback so we can begin to address those issues. Because I guarantee you, if you're seeing it, other members in the public are seeing it too. And so we want to make sure that our parks that have that curb appeal that makes people want to visit them. And that's why we have parks in the first place.
John Gunkel, you're on mute.
So do you want us just to email our comments about each park and you basically collect them and organize them? Is that what you want?
Yeah, you can email them directly to me. You can email them to Felicia. And what we'll do is keep a running list of those locations. And we can provide that list to you of these are some issues that you guys have noticed, have seen. We can provide that to you so you'll know what everyone's saying. You won't necessarily know who's making the comment, but you'll be able to see what types of comments are being made at those locations. And then what we can also do is provide an update to you to let you know what we're doing to try to address some of those issues.
Okay. How about a time frame? Do we want to? Well, commission members who is interested in doing this or has time that you could take on some parks? John Gunkel says yes.
I'm interested. I'd be willing to do that too. That's Taylor Hansen.
Taylor. George, you said yes?
I said yes too.
Sean said yes. Bob?
I can. Not this week, next
I bet I can guess which park you want to go look at. I bet I could do that.
I'm planning to buy that place.
Who else am I missing? What am I missing? Joe, did I say your name?
Yeah, Kathy, I'll be happy to.
Okay.
Kathy, are we going to be assigned certain parks or are we just going to go to, because I was out at Washington Park. I'm out there a lot. So I guess that would be the one that I would be sharing or,
Well, what if we do that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sean.
Submitting information on, I guess what I was thinking, we may be submitting on, we don't want to submit on the same thing, that's the reason why I said if we had certain parks that we were, quote unquote assigned to, that we would be maybe going out to and looking at and then gathering information and then emailing it to William versus all of us going to the same park.
Well, I think William made a really good point earlier. I mean, different people see different things. So I don't have any issue with multiple people going to the same park at all. So, maybe we just pick the parks we want to go to and just do it.
Yeah, because everybody's questions are not going to be the same. Or everybody's feedback is not going to be the same.
Absolutely. That's fine, I would think.
Yeah, and see, I think what you'll notice is that even your choice in which parks you choose to visit is going to say something. Mm-hmm. And when I give you the list and you see that everybody went to Bolton, everybody went to Bon Air Park, but nobody went to Crystal Towers, I would ask you, like, why come no one picked Crystal Towers? Or why didn't someone pick Winston Square? But you'll see the list of the parks and which ones are being visited and kind of what you see, what your interpretation is of that particular park. You'll see what that, so you'll see certain parks that for months, no one's visited, and, I think that it's important, and it's something that Tim was big on even when he was department head. I think it's important for the commission to get out and know what we have in our park system, not only in parks, but greenways as well. To me, this is a win-win opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to kind of get out and see some of the facilities that are under our jurisdiction. But it also creates an opportunity for us to really get some honest feedback in terms of what people are seeing. We ask our staff to do it, but the public and the citizens see things a little differently. So if everyone went to Reynolds Park, I think that we would get several different things that are noticed, and that's kind of what I'm looking for.
So thank you, George. I kind of like the idea of starting out with what's in our ward or what we're really interested in. And then after we do that, maybe everybody commit to doing something this month, providing it to William, and then we can see what we haven't gotten to.
And it doesn't have to be very detailed. It could just be bullet points. Tree canopy was high off of the Lawndale entrance at Hathaway Park. Vines in the trees, or the grass needs to be mowed. The parking lot has several potholes. Just whatever. It could just be a nice bulleted list, very simple bulleted list. And we'll take it, we'll put it in one big spreadsheet or one big file and continue to share that with you. And then work to kind of make those improvements.
Oh yeah, I like George's idea. Editable Google Sheet so we can update and enter live data. Felicia, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, that'd be cool. And William, if you were to put your questions in there as editable, you could either make your questions columns or and the parks rows or vice versa. And people could, it might be easier to deal with.
I was thinking maybe some box and then with like another section in there. So that's gonna add.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've totally eaten up all the time here. So commission members, you guys are going to go out and survey parks. William, we're going to wait until you send us this checklist. Yep. Felicia, you're going to put it in a Google Sheet so it's easier to collect. And everybody's going to do that within a month. And then we'll see where we are.
And I think it's something that, we should continue to do throughout the year. You'll see different things in the fall than you would in winter. You'll see different things in the spring than you would in the summer. So I think it should be something dynamic that we can continue to work from.
Right. And I like the idea of every commission member that, they sort of take on their ward and handle it that way. But, I'm not sure how we're spread out. Anyway, okay, we're out of time.
Quick question. Hey, William, had you thought about the getting in contact with George Steel Fund and us doing a cleanup? I know we had talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, if the commission, yes, I can have that. I haven't spoken to George yet. I can have a conversation with them. The city does have that Adopt a Creek, Adopt a Stream, Adopt a Park program. And so that's an opportunity there for, if everyone goes out and see a particular park that rates pretty low on the curb appeal or from a maintenance standpoint, I think it would be a perfect candidate for like the Recreation Parks Commission to adopt if they chose to maybe go out and help us get some, do some things physically at that location, kind of get it cleaned up and where it needs to be. So I'll have that conversation with George and see if there's like a group program or something that we can do that's specifically tailored to the commission.
Okay, we do a lot of that. We we wasn't able to do a lot because of COVID, but Prince Hall, we do it a lot. We have a Prince Hall sign, and we normally take the new initiatives, and we that's part of their program that we do. So I love doing that, man. We've been doing that for so many years, and it's good to be able to clean those areas. But that helps the city out, and it also keeps everything clean and green at the same time.
Exactly. Look, I can't stress to you enough the curb appeal and the maintenance of our facilities, the impact it has on those people who want to go in there and tear things up. If it looks like we don't care, then we don't give anyone else a reason to care about that facility either. And those are the ones that get vandalized more. So appreciate you and the fellow Masons that are going out and doing that for us. I really do appreciate that.
And we're out of time. Is there anything urgent to share with us on that list?
If you would like, Kathy, we can kind of get an update of those important issues that we weren't able to get to today and get that out to you via email. Okay. In writing, you mean? Yes. Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for participating today and your feedback and participating. That was really good. And can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion that we adjourn our meeting. Second.
That was John Gunkel. Anybody opposed? Okay. Thank you all. Everybody have a delightful day. Be safe.
Have a great day.